back to some of the big stories and just taking that cue from what Johnson Chukwu says. The FMDQ Securities Exchange sent in a notice that it has separated Nigerian treasury bills and open market operations on its e-bond trading and reporting system. So we're doing the same thing here on Channels Television. We've separated the treasury bills into NTBs and open market operations so you can get a view of where these markets are. The NTB market is where everyone can play. Individuals, body corporates, PFAs, and everyone. But the open market operations, that's strictly for the banks and foreign investors. So we're bringing you that as well and trying to keep in line with the latest within the Nigeria's fixed income market space. That's the story. But again, today's the morning after yesterday's labor and wages report, and let's get a sense of who is reporting what and who is feeling what about yesterday's numbers. Juliana Olayinka, my colleague from our London studios, is here for us this morning. This is the morning after. Thank you, Juliana. Great to have you here at the show.
Nice to see you both, and good morning.
A big story yesterday about the labor and wages, and I'm sure everyone out there was interested in it. So this is the morning after. How's it playing out in the media, local media?
Well, Britain's job creation is running out of steam. That seems to be the headline from economists here. It seems as if British employers, they have been hiring at their least fastest rate in 4 years. It was the slowest quarter that we've seen from July to September. 58,000 people fell into unemployment. Also as well, the job, your wage rise, the amount of money you're getting in your pocket, that rose to about 3.6% in Q3, which is still lower than the 3.8% in the 3 months to July in Q2. So that wasn't great. Also as well, vacancies, that seems to be high up in the headlines because there were 800,000 vacancies available across Britain, which is still a slowdown. So a lot of analysts and economists are assuming that a lot of employers are really waiting for this Brexit paralysis to slow down before they start putting out those vacancies. But as you know, you've been reporting on UK economics for years, Bosun, and it's always a mixed bag. And as soon as these statistics were released by the ONS, the sterling did rise slightly. Why? Because, of course, the unemployment figures in the UK are still at a record low at 3.9% or thereabouts. It's still the lowest that we've seen in about 40 years, which is still good. Also, as well, even though that 3.6% of a wage rise is slower than it was in Q2, it's still kind of record breaking. So a mixed bag of chips in the UK, but the fact that sterling rose on the release of that mixed bag of data was a good sign for the government.
Yes, so tied to that, as a corollary, is today's the International Food Workers Day. So who is going on strike, protesting what in the UK, joining their colleagues around the world?
This is quite an interesting story and a good story because, of course, a lot of us going to fast food restaurants when we want an unhealthy bite. But for many people across the world, the reasons, the way that they're being treated by their employers, they believe is not good enough. They're calling it poverty pay. The international strike is actually a week of demonstrations, but yesterday it really affected workers in the UK. And these are McDonald's workers, and it was called a McStrike strike. So workers across Britain, but particularly in pockets of London and Manchester, were out on the streets demonstrating. And it did actually get the attention from the opposition shadow chancellor, John McDonnell. He was out with some McDonald's workers in Manchester, and they were really saying that, look, McDonald's is a $100 billion company. They employ over 100,000 staff here in the UK, but at £8.15 per hour, I can't do the Naira equivalent, but it's not that high. They're not happy. They're also not happy with their 0-hour contracts. They want their pay to be almost doubled to about £15 per hour. And they seem to catch a lot of noise. It was across most newspapers today. And there will be demonstrations, very similar demonstrations in France, Bolivia, New Zealand and Chile. So very important calls for people that don't necessarily grab the headlines.
Yes, Juliana, £8.50 on the street will give you roughly 4,000, close to 5,000 Nigerian naira per hour. If I get paid, if we get paid 5,000 as a McDonald's or whatever fast food worker in Nigeria per hour, wow, that's heavenly. But again, there are two different economies.
That's per hour. That's per hour. But we know the cost of living in London is particularly particularly high.
Different folks for different economies. I know. But you still
You've
owe
used
me
your
that.
pounds in London.
You owe me that fast food, McDonald's burger, whatever they pay. We hope they get back to work. We need that. But very important part of labor, the wage report yesterday was that women in employment in the UK shrank in size. I'm sure that's disappointing for the world of women equality we're trying to push.
It is quite disappointing. In Q3, we showed that 98,000 women lost their jobs, which is huge. Of course, it's 58,000, but that's the 58,000 total. But that's because there's been an increase in men. So 35,000 of increase in men took down the official figure to about 58,000, which is really worrying. A lot of women activists have been speaking out against this, and it's really because of the high street. The high street has suffered so much in the UK over the past couple of months, and as high street famous names, including Mothercare, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, has gone under, so too has a lot of part-time roles, and part-time roles in the UK are usually held by women. Most of these women are mothers, or a lot of older women who have decided to stay and work because the state pension age has changed here. As these jobs have gone, a lot of these women have nowhere to go. So 98,000 women is a huge number. And, we're hoping in the next quarter, there could be a rise in that, especially as activists are tackling the government to try and keep, the retail sector vibrant in the UK.
Yeah, very interesting. That needs to be looked into. Thank you so much, Juliana. It's good to chat with you on those labour and wages report of yesterday from the UK. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.